I had a very concerned comment on my recent YouTube video, part 4 of Surviving Marriage to a Nigerian Pastor. That video really contained, there's actually more detail. There's a lot more gruesome detail. There's a lot more things that happened, but that's the best I can share for you guys to just know where I was and the outcome of what it ended up happening. The comment reads, somebody obviously who was concerned, and it says, "Girl, I'm here for the gist, but now I'm afraid for your life. I hope where you are is safe and sound. There's a girl that just did a Netflix documentary trend, and 1 week after exposing the guy on that documentary was found DEAD, because the man took her out for exposing him. So please, safety first, just in case. I want to reassure my subscribers and friends and followers that I am safe where I am. I've moved back to London. That is miles away from where we used to live, to which he still resides. I am also 4 years post, obviously, this happening. So not only am I kind of in a safer space physically, emotionally and mentally, and just healing wise, I'm able to just be open and speak about these things without having this kind of fear on me. You know, it doesn't negate the fact that somebody, if they wanted to hurt you, they can absolutely do that. So we're going to talk about that today, especially in the tragic case of the passing of fellow TikToker and influencer Sara Duffey. When I saw that news kind of break the internet of Sara Duffey's passing, I can't lie, I exclaimed the exact same comment that came to me. I was like, for a second, I was like, am I actually safe? Because I did this exact Netflix trend that got me doing this entire series. And so the similarities is really, really, really interesting to me. And apart from that, just me and Sara and our parallel stories almost. And I was so shocked. I had a cry. I was so, I took a bit of a quiet period over the weekend when this kind of broke out, because I was just like, man, when I recorded this video and put out part 4, I actually recorded it last Thursday, and I believe the next day is where Sarah's the news kind of really, I got wind of the news, or got hold of the news. So let's talk about what happened to Sara Duffey and how it somewhat relates to my story. Sara Duffey was a influencer, or mainly on TikTok. She was a mother of 2 from a previous marriage. Well, she done lifestyle and fashion and content like similar to what I do, girly lifestyle content and things like that. She recently took to her TikTok account where she shared the very popular Netflix documentary trend, which I did as well, which got me doing this entire series. And she shared how her soon-to-be ex-husband, because at the time that they were married until they both have passed, and I will speak about that in a moment, she did share that she was going to expose her partner for being a PDF, okay, a child predator. And watching that video and just seeing how nervous she was, you can see the fear in this woman's face, in her posture, in her demeanor. You've seen all these Netflix videos come out and everyone's just like, it's either joking or, it's this light-hearted humor. Even mine was just a bit like, I'm ready. I obviously am a safer place to do that now. Sara wasn't. And you can see from the entire video that she was very, very, very uncomfortable. Now, some more details for that story is, after she obviously shared that video and it went viral, her ex-partner, or soon-to-be ex-partner, happened to be a very, very, very popular lifestyle influencer or content creator on TikTok as well. In fact, his reach and following was so much bigger. He was like well into the 300,000 plus, and his content was pertaining to coaching. I don't know what kind of coaching, but it seemed like he was leading young women or young teenagers, because the alleged thing that Sara was going to report or going to expose him about. Not to say she was actually going to do it, by the way. She just was, first of all, getting on the Netflix trend. And then second of all, you can just see that was her outlet because she was hurt by this. And third of all, we now know that she was being abused, okay? And so he took her life tragically, and then that of his own, in presence of her young son. Sound familiar? It really does. It's a harrowing parallel to what could have been my fate. Okay, and this is the disturbing thing of it all. And so when I saw the news, just like this comment, of course, I was also very exclaimed. I was like, whoa, wait, I had to do a reality check real quick. Like, am I actually okay? And then I had to realize, wait, Chanel, you are fine. You're okay. You're actually miles away. But again, it doesn't negate someone from hurting you if they wanted to really do that. In fact, Sara actually got a restraining order, okay? In this country, we would call it a non-molestation order. That's in the UK. I think this was obviously to protect her. It has been alleged that he had threatened to hurt her in the past. He had also threatened to unalive himself. And so Sara clearly felt unsafe and very much scared for her life, to which she applied, I think either a month or a few weeks before that, to the courts to protect her with a restraining order, to which she got this restraining order. She's 43 years old. So again, similar age group, just a few years older than me. Her estranged husband, Jeremiah Sean Duffey, she was in the process of divorcing him. In June 2026, she obtained an emergency protective order. So this was just last month, okay? Requiring him to stay away from her and her home after the allegations involving his behavior towards a minor came to light.
TikToker Duff Daddy broke into his soon-to-be ex-wife Sara's house and took her life and his in front of Sara's young son last night after Sara posted the Netflix documentary trend on her TikTok account where she claimed that Duff Daddy had an inappropriate relationship with children. Sara posted that because she had recently left Duff Daddy because he had been caught kissing a 13-year-old girl that he had coached basketball for. Sara had previously filed a protective order against her ex back in June, but that did not keep her safe because last night he took both of their lives. According to police, officers responded to a domestic call last night around 11:15 p.m. Sara's juvenile son that lived in the home made the call. The child that was in the home was not physically harmed, but there are some reports that he witnessed the incident. A family member identified the couple as Sean and Sara Duffey. The family member says that Sean's legal name is Jeremiah Duffey, but he goes by Sean and Duff Daddy on TikTok. Sara leaves behind 2 children that she had from a previous marriage.
So this particular minor, I think she was being coached by Jeremiah. And even her mother caught wind of the alleged grooming that was aimed at this young lady. I think he had, gotten intimate with this young woman, made her feel uncomfortable, was giving her hush money, allegedly, so that it would stop the news from breaking out. Of course, he's a big TikToker and it's all about his image and what people think about him. So it was going to absolutely ruin his reputation. And then on the 11th of July, Sara posted a viral TikTok video, which is what I spoke about. And it read, "Preparing for when Netflix drops a documentary about my soon-to-be ex-husband, who I just found out was a PDF." And the post obviously drew a widespread reaction and attention online. People started to repost it. Everyone gasped. It was like, oh my God, this is that big TikToker Jeremiah. He's a predator. Like, what on earth? So on the 23rd of July, 2026, police responded to a 911 call from the home. Investigators say Sean Duffey fatally shot Sara before taking his own life in what authorities describe as an apparent murder-suicide. Sara's son reportedly called 911 after the shooting. Let's take note at the fact that Sara applied for a restraining order was given this restraining order, but yet and still, her ex-partner still managed to take her life. And it's worth wondering how really these restraining orders protects us, because before this news even broke out, you know, I knew the trajectory of where this will go. I know a lot of women are in my position and they may need, you know, protective orders to keep them safe. But you're looking at Sarah's situation now and it's like, well, how safe was she? Because clearly this wasn't safe enough for her. I don't know the details as to what she did to protect herself. Remember what I did, apart from that restraining order that I was already received, I kind of gathered some type of wisdom in that situation. I watched on the Ring doorbell, and you may not have a Ring doorbell. You know, not everyone has one, okay? I would say there's one of these luxuries or these extra things that you don't need, but you perhaps need, but you don't take it seriously to have these things. But in 2026, honey, with burglaries and even your Amazon deliveries, you just want to be able to see what's happening in your home when you're not at home. So I was able to monitor the surveillance of my home to monitor his in and outs. And when he was out of the home, I took action. I dropped my son in school. I told the school what was happening. Again, this is a separate video of how you can safeguard yourself as a woman, protecting yourself and children. But I'll touch upon it lightly in this video. I told the school that this is happening, protect my child. And if he comes to pick up the child, please do not give him. And the school backed me 100%. The head teacher was amazing. Another video that I will do. I came back to the home. I immediately got a locksmith to change all the locks. I then called in Very Sure, which is a security company, to fitting new alarm systems and also cameras and everything. I then went to pick up my son a little bit earlier than normal. I kept us in the house. I called a friend. I said, this is what's happening, my church friend. Just as what's happening, please be my cover and please be my backup. I'm hoping that it's successful today because he will try to come home this evening. And when he does, I don't know what is going to happen. And I also made the police aware. I don't know if Sarah went to the extent to doing any of the measures I spoke about before she did this Netflix trend. I am also not going to sit here and victim blame her either, because I'm telling you, can I be honest with you? I could have done all of what I said and he could have still taken me if it really had gotten to that. But I did my best in getting all of the preventative measures so that he cannot have access to me anymore. Sarah's situation is so sad, and it's one of thousands and thousands of women who are being unalived by their partners or ex-partners just for saying that, you know, they're gonna either expose them or gonna put them on blast, or even just for wanting to leave or wanting out. Because in my case, I just wanted out and he wasn't having a bar of it. It was like, till death do us part, as the entire, you know, part 4 of the series was pretty much pertaining to. The other thing that really disturbs me about this case, and again the similarities, is Sara Duffey's son, who not only is witnessing a man who is not his own biological father take the life of his mother and then that of his own, but the fact that this young child has got to live with that for the rest of his life. I just really hope that Sarah's son is fully protected and he has as much support as possible. You know, this again would have been my younger son, who was honestly just about to witness the demise of myself, which I can't even imagine how AJ would grow up for the rest of his life without me and remembering that. And yes, they do remember. Don't ever think that because they're kids they don't remember ish. My son remembers absolutely everything to this day. And at the time, he would have been about, what? He would have been, because he's going to be 9, he would have been just about going 6 years old. I remember a lot of incidents when I was 5 years old. I remember a lot of it. And so he would have remembered that specifically, of him seeing the last moments of his mom screaming for her life before that white man came to rescue me, okay, at my doorstep. And I remember after we, the police was questioning everybody and they interviewed my son. I kid you not, to the T. AJ, as a 5-year-old child, was able to recall and speak of the specific events of what happened. He specifically said, Mummy was trying to get away and Daddy won't let her. These are all in the police reports, you guys. He specifically said that Mummy was trying to get away and Mummy won't let her. And he wanted me to shut the door and I didn't want to shut the door. It's all recorded and it's all in the police report when the police interviewed my son. So our children are very vital for a lot of these domestic abuses, incidents that happen within the household. And, you know, it's funny because I think my ex-partner thought that my son was going to lie for him or something. Hell no, children don't lie. Children are the most realist. Unless you ask them to lie, they actually will tell you the truth. And so my son was so honest when he was given his account as a child to the incidents. Now, unfortunately, Sara Duffey's son, he's lost his mother and that remains. And I could only imagine what he's going to go through for the rest of his life. And he seems to be a little bit older than my son from the image that I saw of him on her profile, which she's taken down now, but I did look through her content. I was like, oh my God, her content is so lit. If I knew this woman, I would have absolutely enjoyed her, you know, her hauls and, you know, her reviews of beauty stuff, of fashion. I saw the picture of her son, young, handsome boy, and he seemed a little bit older than AJ. So he's going to recall the events even more than a 5-year-old. It's tragic and it's absolutely sad. Our children are very important in this. And what is the aftermath for them? With AJ, I've had to do so many protective things surrounding him, which is including his school and stuff like that, and just try to make his childhood as easy breezy as possible so that, you know, he doesn't miss out and he's not constantly disturbed by those incidents that he saw. But, you know, more than that, a child also may need some type of therapy or some type of extra support with their mental health when they witness these tragic events. Of course, on the internet, we're going to have criticism, okay, regardless. And I'm actually really appalled when I look through some of the comments on what they're saying about Sara being a clout chaser. That's what you get for being a clout chaser. Like, when did society become so insensitive to the fact that a woman has just lost her life in presence of her child, which the child has to live for the rest of her life, and for some reason, it's her fault? She should be allowed to do a Netflix challenge without being killed for it, actually. She should be allowed, just like you and I, to be on to do a Netflix challenge. Now, I would understand the fact that Sara clearly wasn't in a safe place to do so. In comparison to me, who's doing this video or that Netflix challenge plus my series 4 years on with all the protective measures that I put in place, I don't think Sara would have had that in mind. But I tell you what I see when I see that Netflix trend video she did. I see a woman who is completely hurt, completely drained, completely confused, and just using the internet as a medium to react to her pain. And so I sympathize fully. I cannot judge this woman for jumping on this trend, especially after the fact that she got a restraining order, and to her, she feels that this restraining order is safe enough to do so. Because I'm sure that's what she was thinking. I've got this restraining order, so yeah, I could do this. But you know, in America, it's different here because, boy, there's access to firearms a lot more in America than it is into the UK, for example. Not saying that there's no access to firearms in the UK, there absolutely is. But in her case, I don't know if the possession of the firearm was legal for him, to which he had it and was able to use it on her. But I think, yes, I don't want to say I agree, because I still feel that she is fully the victim here. I could care less what happened to him, I swear. But she's fully the victim here. But I do wish and hope and pray that, because her circumstances is a lot different from mine being in the UK and being many years after, with all the safety measures I had in place, I do wish that she didn't make the video. But it doesn't mean that she's not allowed to, because she should be allowed to, like all of us are doing this trend. It's a sticky one, you guys. And I just do feel that we as a society, though, can be a little bit more sensitive towards these things, because at the same time, I'm seeing a hurt woman here. I'm seeing a woman who clearly is reacting to something that is hurting her. This is her losing her marriage, losing everything that she loved. And then on top of it, she also was allegedly abused. So allegedly, Sean had already been abusive to Sara. She had made earlier attempts to get a protective order. People in America, if there's any lawyer out there or anything who's watching, can you please, is there a difference between a protective order and a restraining order? I don't know, because in this country, in the UK, we have non-molestation orders, which obviously it works in the same way as those two orders to protect you from a potential harm from another person. So the court's records show that Sara in 2021 reported 2 incidents to get protected orders against Sean, to which she did not actually show up in court. So the judge did dismissed it. And that's unfortunate, because I think, I can only imagine, especially when you're dealing with a narcissist who wants to control you, the reason why she didn't show up to those court hearings was obviously she was scared. Absolutely 100% she was scared. And then of course the narcissist gets wind of the fact that you are actually catching on to the fact that what you're doing is abusive. And so what do? They lure you, they apologize, they also just do what they can to you know, make amends with you. Then you, with a sweetheart, forgives them, etc., etc. And that could be part of the reason why she didn't show up to those court hearings. I'm just speculating, and obviously this is alleged. This is my personal thoughts behind the situation. You know, this is actually a repetitive pattern where women may file for, you know, some type of order or even divorce, and then they withdraw. Why? Because they want to make things work, because the pressures from the spouse, or just to even protect themselves, protect children. They may have a, you know, some type of financial dependency on this person. Who knows the procedure? So some people close to Sara have reported that there had been threats and a long, you know, repetitive pattern of threatening behavior from Sean to Sara, allegedly. And her ex-husband, I think, who's the father of her 2 children, actually reported that it just seemed that she couldn't get away from this man. She had made attempts, clearly, but for some reason she just kept on bouncing back. And you know, these are the type of coercive control that narcissistic, abusive husbands can do to a woman, that no matter what you're trying to do, no matter how much you're trying to get away, even bringing the law involved, they still have this control over you. It takes a lot of strength from a woman to be able to break through from that cycle and pattern of abuse. So from my understanding, if the courts ordered her this restraining order and actually remain 100 yards away from Sara and the residence, so he had left the home, it seemed that how did he get back to taking her life? He clearly, obviously, he didn't care about the reports, and for him, he's like, I'm going to kill myself anyway after I finish her off. I'm thankful that he wasn't able to get at the children, because could you imagine how tragic it could have been for him to also go another step further and take the young boy, who her young son, away from his mother as well, or to take him out as well. As I shared, this story is very similar to my story, and it's just so ironic that in this, you know, season of me being bold and open to speak about my abuse that this actually happens. Come to speak of even the recent unaliving of Zandile and her daughters Natalie and Nala, allegedly by her husband as well, who she was in the process of filing for divorce and selling the house that they owned. I have now kind of seen me. I see myself so much. I look at these cases and I'm just like, I really got out, you guys. For a while, I really couldn't understand my purpose. And I'm sure you guys, I've had people really criticize me and judge me for just pivoting here, there, and everywhere. And I understand why. I'm not even going to argue about seeing the many changes and faces of me since I divorced, because I have been avoiding all of this and silently hiding all of this to now landing at a space where this is actually what part of my calling, not only as Chanel Boateng with this amazing platform of a safe place for women to come and hear my story, but more than that, learn from my story, seek healing for themselves, understand life lessons, grow independently, lose weight as I have, transform and pivot, but also sharing my abuse and how that is very, very, very important for a conversation that we need to be having in this time, and how my voice really counts as an abuse survivor. And so I want to continue speaking about this where I can, where it pertains to other cases, whilst providing any type of support that I can to the capacity that I'm able to. Someone put in the comment section something very relevant, and it was very, I pinned it, and I want to actually specifically kind of go back over that on this video. If anyone is in an abusive relationship, please avoid locked rooms like the bathroom, garage or kitchen where there's knives or tools. Get yourself an independent domestic abusive advocate, IDVA, who are professionals who can empower you and give you information on housing, finances, orders, and etc. I'm in the United Kingdom. I am going to be sharing some in the comment section, some helplines, places where you can reach for support, and that IDVA is very, very important as well. I had something similar where I was able to speak to somebody about my domestic situation, and every other day or even every week we would catch up and just speak about it. It also got me support at school. I would leave information in the description box, but I will do a separate video specifically to talk about the safeguarding for yourself and your children, your family, if you're being domestically abused at home. And it looks like here I am, you guys. I'm going to be utilizing my platform for this now moving forward, and other things, of course, as well. I still will be talking about weight loss and all of the other things that really helped me transform and pivot and just gain strength into this new version of myself. But more importantly, this very important conversation that is happening with women who are being abused and ultimately killed at homes. We want to stop that. There's so many cases that is harrowing and very disturbing. And yeah, I hope you found this video informative to a degree, and we will continue these discussions on this platform. And thank you so much for watching. You'll see me soon.